We're live. Yep. So
Sweet.
welcome back to session 5 here with Crypto with Crier. Today we're just kind of going over the market, kind of looking at a whole overview, see if we can notice any like patterns and trends and point those out to everybody so that they can see. And it looks like Crier's got blur up on the screen here right now. So
All right.
what's interesting about blur right now for you?
One second, let me just finish posting this thing real quick, and then I will
Oh, sure.
get this going. I just wanted to post this in our Discord as well. Do some housekeeping. But yeah, Blur fell quite a bit. We've been watching it. I've been watching it personally. I sold a lot in the $1.13 range. So we can kind of go through the whole play. I'm a big fan of airdrops. I've been trading a lot of airdrop stuff. I did a lot with Uniswap. I did a lot with SOS. Looks rare. I didn't do any with X2Y2, but quite a few of the NFT ones have been very lucrative in the start. Usually within like a couple days, 48 hours is usually when I try to sell. I end up selling around, I think around this area here. The first time I went to 113 or something like that. Yeah, the first 120 I think I sold on the way down around this like 112 area. But essentially, what we're looking at is the psychology behind airdrops. Kind of go over that a little bit and just go over to the market outlook for coming up in the future. What we're kind of looking at. I'll go over the last week stuff at the end. We talked about ETH and the patterns that we were going through. Looks pretty similar to what we were trying to, formulate, what we were thinking. These were test buys and sells up here with our paper trading that we were talking about. So if you go back and talk about paper trading and how to, get into the psychology of trading and, keeping your emotions in check was a big key. But this week we were just kind of covering overall market trends going on and kind of go over overview of market. We kind of see how this pattern is very repetitive, and we're seeing a lot of just what they call like crab in the market, which means just going up and down, up and down, up and down, over and over without a real trajectory or delineation of bullish versus bearish. Right? We've kind of hit the bottom and we're just kind of going back and forth over nowadays.
Yeah, what's volume looking like? Just kind of low volume.
Yeah, again, very low volume for these things, especially last since the 12th we've seen new push up. This was that push up from 1400s, low volume push, not a lot of movement and here, but we did weren't able to break out of this 1770 high. We did break out of this one, which was at 1650 that we hit a couple times in November. And now we are, still in this. I feel we're gonna fill up this range starting back in July. We had that push from the bottom all the way up to the 2000 range. We're now filling in these gaps here that we've been talking about for the past couple weeks on Ethereum. But yeah, overall, looking to me trend wise, again, I'm still sticking with this pattern here, kind of coming up and hugging through here. And then we've talked about this multiple times. Nothing changes for me until I see the white above the blue. And until then, anytime that there is large upwards movements, and anytime they start to stall out, those are times to short for me. So just for the the couple of the test ones, these were sales up here with rebuys back down here. You can see those. Again, these are just for the paper trading side of these. I'm just trying to track the movements of these things, and you can kind of see that we picked up some orders.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, I think on your chart you had like on the 15 minute time frame.
15
It
or
looked
16 here.
Yeah, 16. You can see like right before that this last little jump, kind of stretch it out. It looks like an inverse head and shoulders. You see that right there?
Oh yeah, got the shoulder, head, and shoulder here. Kind of see that kind of showing up.
And
Little
then we also have
bend
like a
here,
little
bend
mini
here.
one.
We'll see
You see that
even inside this
mini
here.
one?
Yeah, shoulder, head, shoulder here. This we're talking about right here, like the smaller
Even the
version here.
smaller, yeah, even the smaller version within the one that you just marked, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can
So it
definitely agree with
could
inverse
be
head and
double.
shoulders is I would say like a bullish sentiment move. Inverse head and shoulders. You also kind of get that like not true. I would say this time frame's a little low for that. I think it looks better on this one. Shoulder, head, shoulder. I'll see if we show everything on the 4. I like to do like even kind of shows
A
up
little
on the
bit,
4
yeah.
hour. So I definitely would say once we get a little bit more fill in of this lower region, the lower 1600s, yeah, this is when we get the push back up into that 1700. And if we do break these outer 740s, my next line is at the 2339, which is that previous jump up through. This is I would say another possible, but there's a big gap in that range, and I think if we do break out with any sort of volume, like again, we just haven't been having any, but yeah, until proven otherwise, these are these shortable tops, in my opinion, going through here. But let's look at Bitcoin also. Bitcoin also has been performing a little bit better because we actually, um, you know, uh, cyclically, how it goes generally with markets. I've been in for a little while. We see that Bitcoin has a little bit of a run first, and a bear market when the bear market's over. We saw this in 2019. Bear market kind of run up and then subsequent fall back down. It was kind of like a false pump, but Bitcoin has historically led every pump with ETH following and then alt following, right? So there's been a couple of like pre-indicators. I would say Matic as the one that we've shown before. It's been bouncing off and above, and anytime that I see this, we're reaching back into this region right here. I would, if looking for positions in this box here, would be a pretty smart move personally. I think. Let me see, get the where's the what you call it, drawer, box draw, whatever draw boxes, rectangle box. There we go. Like this region here be a good entry point. This is the one we talked about previously. Pushing up through here. Once we get a bounce here, if we again this I would say volume wise is looks like it has been trending in upwards direction through here. We've seen kind of lows in December, January, and February have been making some movement. So if we do start to see that Bitcoin above the blue that we were just talking about here, creating some of that gap above, those are times when something like Matic and Curve, no, those are the only two I think that had been showing some strength. We talked about Stacks last week. They had done that extremely bullish movement upwards, and it broke above the weight
Parabolic.
here. Yeah, parabolic move there.
The
What was it?
ordinals related, I believe.
Exactly, 100%. That was all. That was, I would say, a little bit less fundamental related and more news related, because you can see how ridiculous this shift is. Bearish to extremely bullish. This bounce right here would have been a good buy here. Kind of showed up right here, right? So little pinch on these bad boys, but other than that, this still looks like it has some legs, some continuing legs. We had drawn this on the second one, I think second
Yeah,
episode.
one
So
of our
we
early
did
sessions.
maybe a first or second, but yeah, this was shown a little bit delayed on my forecast here. But yeah, we can see how we did talk about how they had that low average purchase price. So again, most people are in the profits on this. I remember the average purchase point of control on this one. Let me see, was I believe around like 40 cents. Yeah, so around 24 cents was our average volume purchase point. So again, a lot of people are in. I can see some return. Can see some returning back down to kind of normalization here. We got a lot of blow up. We can kind of see one of these things here, and then we can kind of see some more continuation. I think would be a more likely approach since this is a lot of news driven stuff, a lot of hype, I would say. But again, it's something I'm now watching because it is above the blue. So again, I'm watching the ones that are market, just full market scan. I haven't done this in a week, so just looking through everything. XMR rejected off that, so that was one I was interested in, but no longer am interested in for longs because it is failed that breakout. So again, this is all nothing's guaranteed. It's all probability, right? So if I'm liking something and it trends out and it doesn't, there's a validation points of failure, and now this one is a failed point. So this could be an option to look into next time it retests this line. Would be a good short opportunity, I believe. Looks rare. That's one that's been pumping it up a little bit. We got blown away with the blur there. DXY, I think, is what we ended on last week. And on the daily, we are now seeing it's getting a little bit of rejection here. So might not be a full continuation. We were talking about massive, massive increases over the this is previous
More
times of
longer
high.
time frames. Yeah.
Exactly, super high time frame broadening. But again, these are the leading up to a recession. We had a lot of spikes through here, and then when the actual recession hit was 2008, right? But this was all that
So are
super
you trying to
housing
say that
bubble.
we're going to have a recession?
I mean, yeah, eventually we'll definitely have a recession with the rate where we're going, I think. But we
I
can
feel
also
like
see.
we're already in one, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say it's even though it's not deemed people saying, "Oh, we were in a recession," or blah, 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 blah. It's it's definitely trending that way for sure. It's looking pretty rough. At the grocery store, looking at most items, people are having a hard time. But you can kind of see in 2000 that was that huge like .com era run up. We got a lot of these bouncing here, so I definitely see. But it's mostly this range that happens with a lot of fall in the next couple years. So again, it's not something that's really short term. This is very long term. But it's also two options here because this was a pretty much really quick, I would say, recession wise, but this is one that was really long. So back in the 80s, they had like what they referred to as stagflation, which is where inflation was just high and persistent for a very long time. And when that happened, it was more of this, a lot of this going up. Again, you still see the same pattern where it's kind of bouncing and going up higher and higher, which is same here. It's just a smaller version of that. But I think we are just starting that sense where you're getting that movement. We're more at like the first line. So it's probably more like this area of it, um, which it took like almost 2 years to kind of fulfill, right? So, I think this is something where we'll probably stagflation is probably the more likely scenario with us currently, just because of the way things have been handled. There's a lot of money. Inflation is not cooling down. This was the last CPI report of this month, was showing that inflation was slightly up on the core data. So unless we get a lot more change on the next one, I can see something more like these pictures, and we're gonna have to continue raise rates. This is the first time um, I think that there has been no, on the forecasting of it, there's been no rate cuts deemed for 2023. So the entirety of this year is most likely going to be either zero or continued rate hikes, which if
I
we've
think they're going
seen
to continue.
historically. Exactly, like this is the first time that actual people are, but people are actually pricing it in at the level of The forecasting of what people think is there's going to be zero now. So after the last one, we'll put a lot of, I would say, kind of a nail in the coffin of people's kind of hope of a very strong recovery. Um, Again, I don't see. I mean, obviously, crypto is highly correlated with stock market changes. We've seen, there was a pretty large stock market sell off last week that was met with crypto essentially going right down. Right, we saw the high tops. Let's see, let's go on the daily. Um,
I kind of
last
noticed something. I'll
yeah, go ahead.
ask you. I'll just ask you when you're done with this thought, but it was
Yeah, go
related
ahead.
to the
All right.
DXY there.
All right, cool. We'll go back to it. But we saw that kind of move upwards into the high 25s all that last week. And again with low volume, but as soon as the um news came out and we had pretty much huge market sell off on the S&P and Dow Jones that met with that. But I would say overall crypto has kind of bounced pretty nicely, I would say, on that sentiment. Had a pretty good recovery. So I do think that we could see a little bit more movement upwards, but it will be met with a sharper downturn, just how we had in 2019, which was similar to this approach where we had this massive movement upwards. And then, there was another opportunity to get a lot more lower prices, from, 13 to 3,000 eventually. This was, I say, a bit of a black swan. So even if we got into like these ranges, which was still half price, right, from the top. So, um, I could definitely see this thing, if we still have continued momentum, how it has been going, we get again above the blue here. I could see this hitting like upper 28s, 30s, and then, going back down into the teens before the halvening event, which is 2024. Um, don't know
Yeah,
exact
it
date, but
looks
quarter three
real
of
healthy there
2024.
though, like from that low that we just had. Um, it's just
You're
building,
referring to
higher right here,
higher
yeah,
highs.
higher
Yeah, yeah,
highs, higher
yeah.
lows.
This was a massive run, and we had no retracement here. This is a good solid line right here at this 19, the 2K. It's a previous top as well, of a bull of the 2017 bull. So again, I think it's got some good legs to stand on. This was all very, these were all very oversold. Days, and now we're returning to what the average price should be more look like, right? So, until we see, I personally see that break away from there. Buying right now is not a good deal or a bad deal. Essentially, right? Like these are good deals. These are bad deals. Anytime that you're at the 50 is, essentially no one's getting a good deal. No one's getting a bad deal. It's just what the average price should be, right? And it kind of correlates pretty well with like actual cost of creating a Bitcoin. We've seen that during all this lower time frames, we definitely saw big miners going down. The average cost to create a Bitcoin was around 19,000. So operating costs for, since October through, January here, people were making Bitcoins at a loss, right? So, we definitely saw that the market is going to obviously, if you're buying below the cost it is to create them, um, it's a good deal, right? So uh, now it's kind of priced into more, a little bit of profit for miners, but essentially, yeah, back to about break even. But yeah, price wise, pretty standard. What we were looking there. What's up, man? We had someone join.
Yeah, bonbons in Discord here.
You had a question about DXY. You said,
Yeah. So something I guess I noticed if you scroll the time back to that last like recession there,
yeah.
um, what year did that kind of start? Was that like 2009?
2000, this was 2000. This
The
2000.
crash though, the
The
crash.
crash is, that was, you kind of saw 2005 was that dead cat
Okay.
bounce. And then you had, yeah, 3 years until everyone's like, oh, we're actually in a recession. because that was 2008 when everyone was like, "We're in a recession." um, so yeah, I mean, I definitely remember a lot of people losing their houses. There was a lot of movement over here, but look, realistically, it was all priced in, or data wise, we were seeing that trend starting practically 3 years earlier, essentially, right? Because we get this bounce here, and
Yeah,
again,
so my
everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna have a recession right now." It's like, no, we're probably like you know a ways out from it. Like we're seeing this
so
type of
yeah,
pattern until we get this type of breakdown. This is when the recession kind of like
so my
has
thought on
started.
that
And yeah, go ahead.
is that's when September 11th, 9/11
Yeah.
attacks on Twin Towers. We
Hmm.
went to war then. Now, if
Yep.
you look at kind of what's happening in Ukraine and our
Yeah,
current
for
time
sure.
frame, um,
A lot of
that's something
escalation
that
with China. A lot
I'm
of yeah.
noticing is that, if things get maybe a little worse over there on the macro side of just the global economics, we might start to see something like that happen again.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, China has, they what was a couple I think it was like last week they had a um like a press briefing talking about America and our overreaches, talking about how our, 260-year history we've had, what, 16 years of not being an active war. These things are true statements.
Yeah,
And we
I think they said
were
something like we tried to overthrow like 50 foreign
50 foreign
sovereignties,
government. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's just
so I mean,
crazy.
it definitely don't disagree with that. I mean, I, I definitely, you just look at it historically. We've meddled with everything. So, yeah, essentially, I can do see a kind of like a pattern as well there. But um, with I would say this
'Cause-
current frame is such a different aspect to look at too, because I'd say this war. I think this war already kind of started. It's been more of an economic war. We've seen it since what, like February of last year. There's been, sanctions and movements of money. We've got Russia kicked off like Swift systems. They're looking to use like the strengthen the ruble through, only allowing people to buy gas with has to be paid not in U.S. dollars, but has to be paid in their currency. I think that was already a move there. China with the whole Taiwan stuff, that was already a move there. Embargoes and stuff like that. So it's already been starting as like a trade war slash economic warfare that's already been happening. So we've seen a lot of global currency, forex wise, has been in huge turmoil. Japan has been a disaster. Um, there again
I
is
think
rough.
FTX Japan just kind of like let them get their funds back recently, didn't they?
I did not hear about that one. I didn't see that news, but I would. They usually are pretty protector. Try to protect their people with their financial movements. So I would definitely think that would be in the cards. But just on I was more talking about like the global stance of them. They did say they want to do the digital yen by April. So that could be something that kind of pushes crypto as well. China is coming off their, a lot of, they're still been on like lockdown and a lot of COVID stuff. So actually, they've been saving the average person, how similar to what we had, people weren't spending money for 2020 at all. It was like the highest surplus of money, lowest credit card numbers ever. And like, the modern age. Now we've completely flipped that on its head, and now we're at the highest ever, and only took like a year. So I definitely see the kind of a couple of countries are, and again, that's kind of why I like crypto, and I think eventually it will break that correlation because again, it's a global market. It's not reliant on only one government to kind of hold it all together, right? So,
Yeah, I just posted a link to an article that I found about that FTX Japan. That's why I just wanted to
oh, cool.
point
I'll
that out
definitely check
because
that out.
there was since February 21st, there has been like a couple days where it was like, massive sell-offs.
Yeah.
But
I can see that.
what you drawn a trend line here on ETH?
This was ETH Bitcoin ratio. We've definitely seen.
Okay.
I think this is gonna most likely break down soon. Going back in the Bitcoin favor. I could see it getting down to this like 0.045 era. We've seen a massive trend line. This is a solid trend line from September 9, 2019. So we've been on this upwards trend. Haven't been able to break ever out of that. That upper tier here. It gets hit like 3 or 4 times. But this is just a ratio of Bitcoin to ETH. This is one of my personal best trades, I believe, was selling. I bought a bunch of Bitcoin in November of is it 20? Yeah, November 2020, when Tesla announced at like 13K and and sold for ETH around this area here in that December range. So was able to get mostly ETH. Um, but you can see that these are always good trades too. If you're not a big stablecoin guy, I'm not a big stablecoin guy. I'm a very much crypto focused person, and I do really like the watching of ETH to Bitcoin ratio because it does you're able to get a little bit of extra or protection from the volatility of things. Because I would say historically it's a little bit different because we see the massive swings here, but it has been kind of leveling out a little bit over the past couple years for ETH Bitcoin ratio. Look on the daily too. We can already
And
see
then
it
when
kind
you're
of.
saying ETH Bitcoin ratio for this
Yes,
this particular chart, right? This is the strength of Ethereum versus Bitcoin, right?
Bitcoin. Yeah,
For
exactly. So,
anybody that might
um,
might not understand that.
yeah, for sure. So essentially, you're looking at instead of you're skipping the middleman, which is dollars, right? So you're making a ratio between ETH and Bitcoin. Um, at a time it was very low in the December 2020s after Bitcoin had that first run up, which was quickly corrected in that March run up of ETH, which went from that four or what was like $800 to like 4K in May. When we see that, I think May was a good top. We see it right here, and that ratio was that first time we hit above that 0.08 line in a very very long time, since 18. So it took almost 2 years to get back to there. But we kind of seen this like narrowing effect here, and then we did see this right here, which is I don't like. We see that pinch and rejection out. So I think we're gonna see this trend line break and then fall down, where Bitcoin kind of pumps, ETH kind of stays where it is, um, and then later date. I mean, again, over a long period of time, I do think it trends upwards on these things. I think we can definitely see these ranges, but I think we're gonna break here first, and I'll draw a little line here. Most likely something through here over the next couple months. May is usually when everyone exits markets, sell in May and go away. It's a huge saying. So we could see some really good buying opportunities through May. May through August are generally really good months, especially in like bearish markets. Summers are probably going to be an even more bearish, thing if we're going that route. So I can see some good accumulation starting happening in these ranges. Yo, Bon, you got any questions or any shit coins you want me to track for you? Or hmm?
Think you said Doge?
Doge. Okay, yeah.
The people want to
Right.
hear it.
The people want to hear it. All right, Doge.
It's one of the for some reason it seems like one of the most popular shit coins out there, right?
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. Let's look on the
That
start with a
that and
little
Shiba, right?
Shiba Inu. Yeah, for sure. Um, I have not tracked this. I don't think ever. So we can definitely. It'll be a good one to look at. I would say this is a good line.
daily chart
This is
here.
daily chart. That's a good like retest and break. That's a good support. We haven't looks like we haven't even touched that. That's a good sign. Let's see here. This one's another good support. This is resistance that got hit, and this time we see that this range has been bouncing back and forth here. This is a massive, massive gap. I would say the bottom of these. See that hit a ton of times here, and the back at all-time highs, right? So let's just look at there, kind of scan it.
Looks kind of
Going
scary if it breaks down.
does look very scary if it breaks down, because like these are I would say the next support line. It's a big gap between
What is
4
that, like
cents and
3 cents?
right. Currently, this is let's see, 5 cent line. This is currently at 8 cents. This down here. The support here is 0.07.
Oh, wow.
So that's a big drop down. This is a Doge has an insane amount of tokens. I don't know the supply, Bond. I think it's like trillions, right? Or yes. Okay, cool. So we'll look at the kind of stature going forward here. Let's do a price. So starting from here, point of accumulation, which is good here. So it looks like average purchase price of everyone over you since let's just do a little earlier. Let's just see.
Is that a couple years?
Um, so this is since 2020. I like to do do March because that's usually like a good start of a kickoff of this. March was like the kickoff, I would say. Um, the news day of the start of the bull run. It was that big black swan event, the big capitulation event. Average purchase looks to be around 1 cent. So I would say we got a lot of people that are very above water, 800 fold, right? So profit wise, there's a lot of people, most likely very large holders that are holding a ton and a large amount, a large amount of profit. Let's see, price. Yeah, so yeah, 670% since the average purchase, right? So, but overall, I mean, structure wise, if they're able to maintain this region with no problem, they did a couple of bounces there. I will say this was a big volume, looks like on their chart comparatively to rest of the chart, right? So we had a pretty big volume back in October when it kind of pumped up to the 15 cent. Was that when Elon took over, right? I'm guessing of Twitter. He bought
November
Twitter.
last year? Yeah, I
Probably,
think that sounds about
probably in that
right.
sounds about like round roughly the same time. Um, we got some insane RSIs. To these were pretty obvious sell points. Let's see. Looking for here, I would say this was a pretty obvious short again until this white line is above the blue is when I start to turn like this might be like a good look to short term long swing trade type thing is when we get this white above the blue. I would say we are getting closer, looking to be like a lot of these alts. They're getting closer to the realm of interesting buys. I think I could definitely see this going back, retracing a bit, especially during the summer of this year, as we kind of see more of the inflation issues and stuff kind of manifest. Right, the longer it is, the less money that everyone has, and less they're investing. So, average person is going to have, especially in these types of coins. I think the average investor. These are some of the first things they go to. The average investor is probably also having a lot of credit card debt now, not a lot of money to kind of throw around. The more of that they have, the less they're likely to buy something like this. So essentially, I think we can see some
Retail
patterns.
buyers, right?
Yeah, retail investors. We can sweep the lows and then kind of come back up. If this holds, I could definitely see this, going pretty well. Through the June. Let's see, 2023, something like this. We can kind of see a little bit of a trace and kind of come back up as what I would say, in my opinion, of looking at it sparsely and what I think. Bon, you got any information on it for us, or just reasons you would like to see this one? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's a definitely a big Elon Musk driven news thing. Um, and anytime it does, I'm pretty positive this was the I think this was the exact date that he did, with the 300% increase when he bought Twitter. So anytime we've seen that previously, not too long ago, he mentioned like something like Twitter coin, um, kind of taking over. I don't know if it's going to be based on like something like Doge. We've seen other
It's like
people take Doge as well. I think,
monetization on content.
yeah, using all the verified money, the verified check money to, essentially fund um, influencers or content creators with their like either a coin situation. I think would be a good move. I personally don't think it'd be something like Doge. I think they would probably make their own. Essentially because everyone kind of want to create their own token. We see that with pretty much every business that's entered. Uh, you know, Web3 or crypto blockchain space, first thing they do is really, make a coin and fundraise it. So um, I do see something more along the lines of it probably will, if they do announce something or we start getting rumors of coin news coming out soon, I definitely see this pumping, randomly, similar to how Stacks did, right? Like we saw that big, huge ordinal news, and then look what's happened. This, irregardless of, I'm sitting here saying like, oh, this is bearish, bearish, bearish. We're underneath the line, and then instantaneously it's above the line in one day. So, again, it's not all TA analysis, or it's all likelihood of probability of things. It's very much so focused on both news and fundamental news, and trading news with analysis. So yeah, we could definitely see something like that, just how it happened already previously, right? So we've seen this. Again, it was very very bearish. It just wasn't able to maintain that. If we didn't get any bounce, right? So we got a test pushed through. We didn't get any actual test here again above the white. Instantly broke back down. Whereas with actually with SDX, we aren't getting that. We're getting more of a couple of day extended here. So I do think we will see a retest here. But that's my thought process on Doge. And again, it's not a I don't know a ton about Doge. I sold all my Doge uh in I think this region. I had like I bought like $32 worth and like I don't know 17 or 18, and then literally forgot about it for like 2 years, and then one of
What's
my
that,
friends
like a
texted me one
million
day.
Doge or something?
I can't remember. It was like $20,000 worth when I sold it at like 1 cent or something. But yeah, like I missed like $1 million. Some insane shit because I didn't hold any, right? So always hold a little bit of your moon bag is always a good idea. Make sure to cover all your costs and then keep a tiny bit at least, because even if I sold, one kept 1/10 of it, I think at the top, I think it would have been something like, I don't know, like, I think it was like 130,000 or something crazy. So, um, that's why we always recommend selling in positions of three, right? One third, one third, one third. Get your costs, extra profit, moon bag. Could have been set up for sure. Hmm. Yeah, like a newsy-ish event for sure. April might be something to worth looking into if we can. We're again. Personally, I think with this, even the 8th, as early as the 18th, 8 and 18, we got rejections. You can already see it kind of happening. I think we kind of play this down. This is through March. This is like the April or again. So if we do get some news event, to probably, play down through here and then like, get one of those huge spike ups and then spikes back, how we see with this right here. Right. But then, continuing on again, I think overall we'll see low lows in that just fundamentally across the board. I think these will be good entry points into most markets that you're interested in. I think we're going to see a lot of pain in these days, especially stocks and stuff like that too. We get that relief we've had for the past couple months right now, but again, we've always, if I don't think this goes back far enough, I don't know if we get uh, into the previous cycles, but essentially every bear market has that like false pump kind of deal happening, right? This is since what 2012, top of the market, retrace, fake bull flag, 50% off, and then does it again, right? So start of the bull, top of the bull, down all the way, top. You get a pump here and then back down, retrace. Even though this looks really tiny, I think it's probably like a 60% retracement right here. Pop up again, huge, bam, false pump, retrace, actual start of the market, boom. So I really see that happening, again, right? So um false pump, this trend line is just something I think of importance. But seeing up into this, then retrace, and then kind of we'll see pumps and the next cycle 20 top of the next cycle will be somewhere in the 26 usually takes 2 years date wise essentially for all of these to kind of come to the fruition from the top to the bottom, right? So the top to the bottom 2015, yeah, 1,000 days, which was like 3 years. And then again pretty this one's a little bit longer. That's been one of the things too. It's been like a little bit longer each time with a little bit less return. It's like diminishing returns over each one, right? So this was 1,400 days from top to top. From the bottom here is 632 days. You can kind of see, it's definitely on that trajectory of mathematical, trending towards that one where it's actually a more like how gold looks, right? Where gold is if gold's up $100, it's like insane. Um, Less volatility. But any other coins or anything else anyone wants to look at me at? We got about 15 minutes left here. If not, we can kind of see. Let me just check a couple other coins I haven't checked in a while. The daily, yeah, bearish. Ape. Let's look at Ape with all the. That's too not enough information on that one. Dot has been seeing a little live kind of retrace instantaneously off for a bump here. Let's see the daily. Yeah, daily looks really bearish until proven otherwise. Yeah, so realistically, there's only a couple that I've seen that actually have that little bit of momentum coming on. What's this one? That's Uni ETH. Never mind.
It just feels like everyone's still on edge, kind of like waiting to see what the market does with the next increase, or if they just
Yeah.
keep it at 25. If they raise it to 50, it might raise concerns for a little
Yeah, if they do a
sell-off
50, we're
there.
definitely tanking big time. If they do a 25, I could see it being kind of priced in probably within the next couple weeks. When's the next actual? Is it
I think it's like the end of March.
end of March?
Yeah, let me see.
CPI report and state of the.
Because they just had like the
I
producer
was on the
expense report.
Yeah, that was consumer price index. What was that? That was on what 15th of 14th, right? So this year was 14th. Forecasted was 6.2, actual was 6.4, previous was 6.5, so only went down 0.1. So again, they were expecting a 0.3% reduction. They only got a 0.1% reduction, so undershot by like 66% of what they thought they would be doing.
March 14th. That's when the next one.
That's the next CPI data, right? When's the actual
Yep.
next the Fed Reserve nation? Yeah, so March
April.
21st and 22nd is the next FOMC meeting. Right. So we had the January 31st and 1st. That one's when they said they were doing nothing. March 21st and 22nd is the next date to be, looking into. And then following that is May 2nd through 3rd. So realistically, I would expect at least a 0.25 in March, most likely. If that doesn't cool anything down, probably like a 0.5 in May, and then we'll see like a cratering in May and June, July through the rest of the year will be good entry positions into a lot of these things for like upcoming the following 2024 year. My thought process, but we'll see.
Kind of just in the wait and see era right now.
That's right. See Hodel Hill out here.
Did you see I don't know if it was like 100% true or not, but that it's like the whale guru or whatever on Twitter posted something about Coinbase or something stopping the sale or stake of Binance USD.
I didn't
BUS.
see that one. That like just now or Watcher Guru?
I saw that, yeah, this morning I saw it.
Yeah. Suspend Binance US. Oh, BUSD trading. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's probably.
Is something fishy going on with CZ
I mean, I
there
think
over at Binance?
I don't think any phishing is going on. I think they're all coming under regulatory eyes, right? For sure. I mean, Circle's been having some issues. There's been the Binance.com has had a lot of their issues with getting banking secured, right? I believe the Binance.us company is completely fine on the banking side, but there has been like halts and withdrawals until they are able to get somebody besides Silvergate holding all their USD. So there's been some issues there. I think most of these stable coins are going to come on like extreme amounts of regulation. That's why I don't like any stable coins. The last stable coin I liked was DAI, DAI, which is from Maker. And I don't know if you guys saw the news this week. We talked about it on our podcast on Nerd. But they had
You made a video just yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, for that. Their Maker application, the decentralized application Oasis, which is how you are able to like open all of your like collateral debt positions, which is like the CDPs, which is just kind of like how you open a vault and take a loan against your Ethereum, essentially. Those had a counter exploit executed where they retrieved $225 million from the hackers of the Solana wormhole exploit. So the Court of England and Wales pretty much deemed it necessary for Maker to revert the money from that were deposited in their contracts, which shows that it's highly, it's centralized, right? Like they have control over all the accessed funds in the pools. So they returned, I can't remember, it was like $130 million worth of, let's see, it was like the staked, they just opened new pools for Rocket Pool and Lido pools, right? So both of the hacker had put in most of it into Lido staked ETH, and then the other portion was in the Rocket Pool ETH. and they sent $225 million back and reversed the hack essentially from the wormhole and sent it to Jump Crypto. So again, I think that's terrible in the sense of these things aren't decentralized. It's all that we are fighting for decentralization, but it's just fully covered up with exploit ability. They use their third party um, multi sig wallet to essentially just like override that and just how a bank would, right? They can freeze your assets. We've seen that with USDC previously. A court ordered them to blacklist stuff, or not even a court order that just did it after a hack, stopping people using the USDC contract. So essentially, shows that there needs to be more decentralization on these platforms. Um, I think to me that most people will probably think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing, just because with that comes the overreach of now a government. Now it's easy for them to see that, oh, we have previous rulings saying that we can just go back and make send the funds away, or if you come under as a criminal. Again, it's not to bring in like politics into it, but you're looking at like stuff where bank accounts are frozen of people, dissidents of a country. I think that is a good example, right? Like, if you're able to freeze these assets, and they're that's a reason for Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is not able to do these things. There is no smart contracts to kind of revert, right? So they can't reorganize the blockchain unless they get all the miners to do it, which they don't. So anytime that there is that centralized position, I think it's a little bit on the side of uh, just negative in my eyes for the long term of crypto success, and more controlled by governments, which have shown to not be very good at holding money.
Managing
Uh,
money, yeah.
yeah, every single government is operating at like one of my more recent newsletters was just showing all that stuff. 140% is the average country's GDP to spending ratio. So average, they're bringing in their GDP, they're spending 140% of their production. So and that's like averaged. So some country, I mean, Japan is spending like 300% more than they actually make. US is, I think it was like, they were actually on the better side. They were only like, I think it was, I want to say 80 or something like that. But UK was at like two something, 220, I believe. So there's a lot of reckless spending across most governments. So I don't really think they have a lot of best interests of the people in their eyes, and don't really care, and are in that stage of raiding the coffers essentially.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, so I got a little bit left. 6 more minutes. Any other coins you want to look? You got anything over there, Trader? Risky?
No, not really. I'm just kind of like chilling. I was in that Blair trade, but I got out after it started to fall.
Nice.
So
I think
just
I had
kind of
posted on Twitter. I was like, "There's a lot of
managing.
strong support on the weekly here," and that looks like it's playing out pretty well. It was a joke, but it was more of a looks like it's happening pretty well. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, you
Up
know,
and right
again, you
back
see this.
down.
We started at the very beginning. We started with talking about airdrops. This is a very literally every airdrop in existence is something like this. And usually when you get back in through these like lower reaching points is a great accumulation. We see with this with Uniswap. I got a bunch of Uniswap um, airdrop to me. Literally every single person in existence at that time that wasn't buying it was like, bro, I got a free PS5, hell yeah, sell, 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 sell. You got 800 tokens. So Everyone they drove it really quickly down into the $1.80 range, but essentially, literally a couple months later it was 45. And I'm not saying that happens all the time, but you definitely get in that oversold mentality, especially with something like Blur is pretty much dominating um, the volume, right? They still not dominating the users, but I say more and more people are actually using Blur. I would say it's a little bit,
NFT volume.
yeah, NFT volume. Yeah, this is, um, I would say it's a little fake, obviously, or largely fake right now, just because it's a lot of wash trading happens. We'll see what actually happens with the whole season 2 ending. I think it's in, I think later this like October area, I believe, was like the next scheduled release of tokens, when the lockups end. But when you
Well, they're doing
see something,
season 2
but
airdrop. I think the qualifications for the trading information ends in April, I think is what they said.
oh, April, okay, yeah. So like on their actual released coin release chart of like the tokenomics structure of the next vested and stuff like that, it will be all of the initial advisors and money, and they pretty much double the coin
Oh,
supply
like
in
the
tokenomics.
locked invested coins is what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm talking about, like, let's look at something like Looks Rare. This was the date, when, everyone they had, like, a $18 million from the team sold off, to make their runway and shit like that. But, let's look at a different one because this is doesn't have a lot of data. Let's see, Looks better one or longer time. Oh, that was the KuCoin one. Alright, let's do, Looks. Crypto. That's not gonna have enough. I don't have Uniswap on here. Whatever. We're not gonna be able to get probably a good picture. Let me try OKX to see if they had it earlier. Then yeah, okay, cool. They had a little bit earlier. Essentially, the very beginning of it, it was in that 35, 50 cent range. It was a huge amount of people buying through there. Pushed it all the way up to $8. First unlock was I believe in remember being like around this area here, like that $1.60, $1.70 range. Instantly unlocks happened instantly. This was all big newsy type crashing event too, but it's still like it's set up very well to liquidate a bunch really quickly. So we'll see that most likely with Blur as well. They're getting a bunch of people interested in their token. They got the carrot going right now, carrot and the stick type situation, dangling that carrot out in front of you, making sure people bid up, lose all their ETH bidding and dumping and for less value to hopefully remake it by getting paid from the Blur airdrop. But way more participants this time than season 1. I think that was a little bit of a fluke on the sense that people are expecting massive payoffs again, are probably going to be pretty disappointed, I personally think.
Yeah, I
But
think that too. Unless they come out with some kind of way to like stake it or some like an actual use case
exactly,
for the
like I
token,
will
right?
say that, you know, Looks Rare, if Looks Rare and Looks Blur kind of combined what their approach, I think it would be doing much, much, much better right now. Blur has done way, way, way better on the marketing side, getting people engaged, having people do like almost like a time log function, so more people are actually likely to go there. They're setting up that routine type thing. If you go there for if you can build a routine by doing something every day for 2 weeks, they have that kind of mentality of the keeping you returning to Blur through the boxes and the Blur. There was like 3 stages airdrops. You had you coming back all the time. But the thing that Looks Rare did really well was actually sharing money with the users of the platform, right? So we had um, you know, early people actually staking looks and stuff like that. I mean, I made like 8 or 9 ETH off the looks staking, pretty quickly, like pretty insanely.
It was like up in the
Uh,
1,000 percentile of returns, wasn't it? Some
yeah, I mean,
crazy.
and well, I would say, yeah, the first APR was insane, but it was also paid in ETH because, essentially you were getting the value in ETH from the trade, right? So if Blur turns on like a fee switch type situation where they're staking the coins, you get a percent fees of from the volume. I definitely see that increasing the value, but for right now, there's literally no reason to have Blur. It does nothing, right? So it's all vaporware until proven otherwise. So again, like this massive run up, I'm very happy with my sales. I don't look, if they turn on fee switch or something like that, I do see it being somewhat useful. Look similar how Looks was, but until then, I'm personally staying away from it. But did bounce pretty well. But I do think we'll see something more like coming up through here and kind of returning through this and then break down. Um,
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna touch it again until maybe it hits like 60, 50 range.
Yeah, if it breaks out of here with any volume or any announcements, something like that, I could definitely see it in a go. But yeah, until proven that there's a use case or something, you have from now until October, because October is going to get like demolished no matter what. Even if it's are doing well, the first unlock is going to be very bearish news.
Yeah, the VC's got to get paid.
Yeah, they're going to dump. So pretty much wraps this up here. Any questions or anything you got?
Not
We get
just
any?
kind of overall market, looking at where we're headed, where we might be headed.
Total over here.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Talking about financial advice over here. It's not financial advice. This is just my musings.
Just educational, just our opinions.
That's right. We're just trying to show the way of technical analysis. If anyone needs any help with this, I do these every week. We're trying to. Next week, I will be traveling on that Monday from ETH Denver. So I'll be coming back from ETH Denver. I don't think I'll be back in time. I think I get back around 11, 11 my time, and then I will be driving back from Atlanta. So, um, yeah, I will probably have to miss next week, but following
Yeah,
week,
that's no worries.
we'll get
We're
back
not
fired up.
going anywhere. We'll
Yeah,
still
for sure.
be
And I don't
here.
mind doing
I
these.
mean,
Like we
we're
can do
here
it
in
like
the
a
bear
Tuesday or
market
something
now,
either.
right?
Yeah, we're doing this for just for to me. I love doing this type of stuff. It helps me, gives me an hour of time to actually look at the markets with intent, and people bring up questions that I can
Other
answer or
opinions,
learn
yeah.
about, or I didn't, like Bonbon. I didn't know anything about the whole satellite stuff. If we get some
Doge
lows,
satellite, yeah.
it might be some, get a couple,
We'll have
get a
to
couple Doge
interview
for that,
Elon Musk next time.
or yeah, or when that actually happens. When it does happen, it'll be good. Short the news type event. I didn't know that there was going to be anything coming up. Thanks to that.
Yeah. Alpha, tune
um,
in.
but yeah, if you nothing else, we'll wrap it up here. We'll talk about next time. Let's see, that'll be not this Monday the 6th, but the following Monday, which would be the 13th. That
Right before that
following
CPI
Monday will,
print.
yeah, this will be a week before the CPI stuff. We'll kind of see a good picture of what markets are thinking, right? Beforehand, every time it's like a really dull market until it actually happens. But if we start getting a push up, people might be thinking more, probably like 25 or nothing. But if it's,
Oh,
we'll
they're
see.
gonna hit it with something. I don't think there's
Yeah,
a
I definitely
chance
agree.
it's zero. Not for the next 6 months.
Yeah, I definitely think as well it's going to be some sort of hike. So we'll see. But awesome. We'll wrap it up here.
Yeah, tune in to find out. Otherwise, have a good week, guys. We'll see you next time.
Later.